Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365, Star Times channel 276, and Free TV. Now the news in full. The House of Representatives Special Committee investigating crude oil theft has called for the establishment of a special court to try crude oil thieves who are wreaking havoc in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. Chairman of the committee and former House leader Al Hassan Ardo Dagowa, who made the call at a stakeholders meeting in Abuja, said that the activities of oil thieves undermine the country's socio-economic development and national security. Dagowa said that tackling criminals engaged in crude oil theft and sabotage in the oil and gas sector requires a review of existing legislation, especially the penalties, to ensure they are commensurate with the gravity of the offenses and modern realities. According to him, weak legislation dating back to the military era has become outdated and has emboldened criminals because the penalties prescribed for such offenses are too lenient to deter repeat offenses. Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf has declared corruption and insecurity as twin threats to the growth and stability of the state. Now, the governor, who made the remarks during the flag-off of the 2026 Subsidies Fertilizer Distribution Program for farmers across 44 local government areas of the state, reaffirmed his administration's resolve to promote integrity, accountability, and responsible leadership. Global TV correspondent Idris Jibrin tells us more.
The launch of the fertilizer distribution program became more than an agricultural intervention, as the Kano state government used the occasion to reinforce its zero-tolerance stance on corruption and abuse of public trust. Addressing farmers, traditional rulers, security agencies, and community leaders, Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf described corruption as a major barrier to development, warning that it continues to weaken institutions, divert public resources, and deny citizens the benefits of good governance. The governor said the fight against corruption will remain a major priority, alongside efforts to improve security, restore public confidence, and fast-track socio-economic development across Kano State.
I don't see any reason why leaders that are supposed to be the custodians of morality in Kano are those that are encouraging corruption. They are those that are encouraging thuggery.
The governor also linked corruption to rising social vices, including thuggery, phone snatching, and kidnapping, stressing that tackling the challenges requires the collective effort of government, traditional institutions, parents, and community leaders. Governor Yusuf assured that his administration would sustain the anti-corruption campaign and ensure that government interventions and social programs reach only their intended beneficiaries.
We don't have any other state other than Kano. And so I don't see any reason why any indigenous, any leader will not support our fight against insecurity.
The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) pledged continued support for the state's anti-corruption drive and efforts to strengthen transparency and accountability in governance.
The governor is doing well in the fight against corruption in Kano because, as I used to say, only 6 state governors were able to establish public complaint and anti-corruption commission, and they are following suit of Kano State.
With corruption and insecurity increasingly intertwined, the Kano state government says its strategy is on strengthening institutions, protect public resources, and ensure development reaches every community across the state. From Kano, Idris Jibrin, Global Television News.
Imo State Police Command has launched a major crackdown on vehicles with covered, obscured, or missing registration plates in a renewed effort to tighten security and track criminal activities across the state. Commissioner of Police Audu Garba Bosso disclosed this during a press briefing in Owerri, warning that motorists who violate the law will face sanctions. Our correspondent Amarachi Ibe reports.
Determined to shut down avenues used by criminals to evade detection, the Imo State Police Command has intensified enforcement against vehicles operating without properly displayed registration numbers. Commissioner of Police Audu Garba Bosso said the operation is in line with the directive of the Inspector General of Police and is designed to eliminate anonymity often exploited by kidnappers, armed robbers, and other criminal elements. He noted that the action is firmly backed by existing traffic laws and regulations, which makes it mandatory for every vehicle to display visible and valid registration plates.
Our operational experiences have shown that perpetrators of kidnapping, armed robbery, cult-related violence, and other serious crimes frequently use vehicles with covered, obscured, or no registration plates to conceal their identities, evade detections, and frustrate law enforcement effort. We will not allow such practices to undermine the security of Imo State.
The Commissioner of Police revealed that more than 25 vehicles have so far been impounded, while their owners are undergoing profiling and further investigations. He maintained that the exercise is not intended to intimidate innocent motorists, but to enhance public safety, improve vehicle identification, and support ongoing security operations across the state.
Since the enforcement and commencement of this enforcement, the command has impounded over 25 vehicles found to be driving with covered, obscured, or no registration plates. The owners are being profiled, while appropriate enforcement actions are being taken. All persons found in violations, irrespective of their status, will be prosecuted. Let me state clearly that this exercise is not intended to harass law-abiding citizens or encourage extortion.
The command advised motorists to comply with the law by ensuring their vehicle carried valid and clearly visible registration plates, while urging residents to continue partnering with security agencies by providing timely and credible information. From Owerri, Amarachi Ibe, Global TV News.
Over now to the former national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, has dismissed reports of his alleged defection to the New Democratic Congress, describing the claim as false, mischievous, and politically motivated. Reacting to posters circulating on social media suggesting he had dumped the APC, the former Kano State governor declared that he remains a committed member of the ruling party and has no intention of leaving. In a statement issued by his former Commissioner for Information and Chief of Staff, Mohammed Garba, Ganduje described the posters as deliberate campaign of misinformation aimed at misleading the public, creating confusion among APC supporters and fueling unnecessary political speculation. The former APC national chairman maintained that he has remained steadfast in his political conviction and has never contemplated abandoning the party he once led at the national level. The Benue State government has taken delivery of 116 housing units developed under the National Housing Program as part of efforts to expand affordable home ownership and improve workers' welfare in the state. Now, the initiative by the administration of Governor Hyacinth Alia is expected to ease pressure on rental accommodation and widen access to mortgage financing for civil servants and low-income earners. Felicity Inderi reports.
Access to affordable housing remains a major challenge across Nigeria as rising construction costs and rapid urbanization continue to put decent accommodation beyond the reach of many workers. Determined to reverse the trend, the Benue State government has acquired 116 housing units built by the federal government under the National Housing Program. Receiving the estate on behalf of the state government, the Group Managing Director of Benue Investment and Property Company, Dr. Raymond Asimaka, has said the acquisition aligns with Governor Hyacinth Alia's vision of economic inclusion and improved living standards for workers.
All we want is to live in a decent home, affordable, and bridge the gap of the deficit of housing that we have ever witnessed.
The branch manager of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Yangi, highlighted the role of mortgage financing in making home ownership easier and more accessible for Nigerians.
If you are able to afford, then we will now show you the package for which we can tailor you to actually package you to benefit from the scheme.
Representing the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Quantities of Femi Tomitokwe said the handover demonstrates the federal government's commitment to partnering states in addressing Nigerians' housing deficits.
Demand is higher than supply. And that's why the federal government decided to go into mass housing. And that's one of the cardinal agenda of the president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And he has mandated us to go all out and build houses in all the states' capital.
Governor Hyacinth Alia, represented by the acting head of civil service, Dr. Eunice Uhu, described the project as a strategic investment in human capital that will enhance workers' welfare and productivity.
The outrage of house rents in the state is becoming too much for civil servants, and the benefit that he has to do something immediately to to bring down the high cost of prices of house in the town. So he did this for civil servants and as well as public servants to benefit from this.
Located along the welfare quarters Mopo Barracks Road in Makurdi, the estate consists of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom bungalows to be managed by the Benue Investment and Property Company under a flexible payment arrangement aimed at making home ownership more affordable for beneficiaries. In Makurdi, Felicity Ndare reporting for Global Television News.
With heavy rains already pounding communities across Nigeria, residents of the Federal Capital Territory are raising fresh concerns over the threat of flooding and calling for immediate action to avert another season of destruction. Zaral Nasru tells us more.
As rainfall becomes heavier and more frequent, fears of flooding are rapidly growing in many parts of the country. Experts attribute the trend to climate change, which they say has altered rainfall patterns and triggered more intense downpours, capable of displacing families, destroying property and crippling livelihoods. Residents of the Federal Capital Territory insist that while government must strengthen flood prevention measures and improve infrastructure, citizens also have a critical role to play in protecting the environment.
It's actually the intervention of government to intervene and help a lot of states for the issue of flooding across all the 36 states. That is what I think it should, if possible.
Yeah, about the flooding all over our states like Niger, Benue State, and what of you, we have to be very careful about the flooding, because if water come, you cannot even think whether you are rich or you are poor. We cannot take it on granted. But you know that people are passing through a lot. So even though the government tell them something like this, because of the things that they are passing through, they don't even care. If you can remember 2 days back, there are things that happened in Ghana. Yes. If you watch all those videos, you see that if you see that people, properties, businesses go down. So we have to be very careful of this.
Across several communities, blocked drainage channels, indiscriminate waste disposal, and illegal construction on waterways continue to worsen the impact of heavy rainfall. Many residents say these human activities have turned seasonal rains into recurring disasters, leaving homes submerged and roads cut up year after year.
Because this is the right time to start preparing for it. Because places like Benue State, Kogi, Lagos, and Kano, they usually experience flooding. So I think government should intervene, and people should also avoid throwing waste into the drainages so that they will not be blockade and cause some of these floodings. So I think prevention is better than cure, so they say.
With focus pointing to more rainfall in the coming weeks, residents are urging authorities at all levels to move swiftly on preventive measures, while calling on Nigerians to embrace responsible environmental practices to reduce the risk of flooding. Zahra Unasr, Global TV News.
The Kano State government has reaffirmed its commitment to promoting sustainable and rural and community development through stronger partnerships with development agencies, the private sector and local communities. The assurance was given by the State Deputy Governor Murtala Sule Garo at the Rural and Sustainable Community Development Summit 2026 held at the Government House in Kano. Global TV correspondent Idris Jibrin reports.
Diagnosed children in rural communities.
Rural communities remain the backbone of Kano State's economy, providing livelihoods through agriculture, commerce, and other small-scale businesses. It is against this backdrop that government officials, traditional rulers, development partners, and other stakeholders gathered at the Rural and Sustainable Community Development Summit to explore practical solutions for inclusive and sustainable development.
We equally recognize that government alone cannot accomplish this task.
Representing Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf, Deputy Governor Murtala Sule Garo reaffirmed the administration's commitment to ensuring that no community is left behind. He highlighted ongoing investments in rural routes, potable water, healthcare, education, electrification, agriculture, youth empowerment, and climate-smart initiatives.
The Kano State government has continued to accord priority attention to sectors that have direct bearing on the lives of our rural population. Considerable effort has been directed toward expanding rural infrastructure through the construction and rehabilitation of roads, improving access to potable water, extending rural electrification, and opening up communities to greater economic activities.
Earlier, the Commissioner for Rural and Community Development, Abdulkader Abdulsalam, unveiled the Kano State Integrated Rural and Sustainable Community Development Plan for 2026 to 2030, describing it as a comprehensive 5-year roadmap designed to place rural communities at the center of development planning.
The Kano State Strategic Framework for Integrated Rural and Sustainable Community Development 2026 to 2030 breaks that jinx. It presents a 5-year integrated plan that puts rural communities first.
Speaking on behalf of Kano's traditional institutions, the Emir of Karaye, Muhammad Maharaj, described the summit as an important platform for developing practical strategies to improve the living conditions of rural dwellers.
This summit will reposition our thinking in looking deeply into the plights, the critical conditions of our rural people.
The summit featured the official unveiling of the Kano State's Integrated Rural and Sustainable Community Development Plan from 2026 to 2030, presentation of awards and certificate of honor to Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf, his deputy Murtala Sule Garo, as well as other deserving stakeholders across the state. From Kano, Idris Jibrin, Global Television News.
You are watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. News Cycle continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Hello and welcome to your Sunday weather update. We'll begin the day with a few morning thunderstorms triggered by overnight weather systems lingering across the country. The storms are expected to affect parts of Taraba before extending into Gombe, Bauchi, Kaduna, parts of Katsina, Zamfara, Kano, and Kebbi State. And across the north central region, residents in Plateau, the Federal Capital Territory, parts of Kwara, Kogi, Niger, and Nasarawa State should also expect morning showers and thunderstorms. For the south, widespread rainfall is expected with wet conditions likely across Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Lagos, and Ogun State. And then by afternoon into evening hours, thunderstorms will become more widespread across the country. Rain and thunderstorms will continue over much of the southern region and the north central state, while the northwest is expected to be increasingly active, with thunderstorms expected across parts of Bauchi, Gombe, and Adamawa State. And that's the forecast. Always remain alert for localized flooding and be weather aware. I am Akami Samarga.
You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is News Cycle on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. In business now, the soaring price of cement is fast turning the dream of home ownership into a distant reality for millions of Nigerians, while putting immense pressure on construction projects across the country. A commodity that sold for between 2,500 and 3,000 naira per bag just a few years ago now goes for as much as 12 to 15,000 naira in some parts of the country. Our correspondent Sadato Garba traces the steady rise in cement prices and its growing impact on Nigeria's housing sector. The report.
Cement remains the backbone of Nigeria's construction industry, essentially for building homes, schools, hospitals, roads, and critical infrastructure. But over the years, the cost of the commodity has climbed relentlessly, pushing construction expenses beyond the reach of many Nigerians. Before 2020, a 50-kilogram bag of cement sold between 2,500 and 3,000 naira across most parts of the country. By 2021, prices had increased to between 3,300 and 4,000 naira per bag. The upward trend continued in 2022, with cement selling between 5,000 and 8,000 naira, depending on the brand and location.
So before we are selling cement 10,500. Now cement would say 12,000 naira now. So what would they say cement 10,500? People they buy cement well. So now when the cement reach 12,000 naira, the people when they buy cement before will know they see markets as you would see them before.
Although the increase had started years earlier, the period from 2023 witnessed a sharper and more dramatic escalation in prices, reflecting wider economic pressures across the country. By early 2024, cement prices had jumped to between 10,000 and 14,000 naira in many markets, with some locations recording even higher figures. The sudden spike forced many developers to slow down construction activities, while prospective homeowners were compelled to review building plans and budgets.
Seriously, it's affecting we common Nigerians. We can't build. There's no money to buy land, talk of buying cement. So common people like us are finding it difficult. And the landlords too, on our neck. In fact, we don't know the next thing to do in this country. We are tired.
Manufacturers and distributors attribute the increases to rising energy costs, expensive diesel, foreign exchange volatility, high transportation charges, inflation, and the cost of importing machinery and spare parts. Industry stakeholders warn that unless these challenges are addressed, prices may remain under pressure.
But to my own view, I actually think that the place all these problems is coming from the increment, the concomitant of things like building materials and many others. is actually coming from the side of increment in petroleum. When the fuel is not being given at a normal price, gas and the rest of others, why you use the gas to produce cement, you use it to produce tiles and number of other building materials, you see that after the production, the increment must come hard.
For many Nigerians, the consequences are already evident. Housing projects are being abandoned or delayed, contractors are struggling to meet delivery timelines, and the cost of owning a home continues to move beyond the reach of average families. The rising cost of cement has become one of the clearest indicators of Nigeria's mounting cost of living pressures and growing housing deficits. Saadatu Garba, Global TV News.
The federal government has charged newly inaugurated members of Board of Directors for the Bank of Agriculture to drive agricultural financing, strengthen food security, and support the Renewed Hope agenda to improve access to credit for farmers and agro-businesses. The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, who inaugurated the board on behalf of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Abuja, described the exercise as a major step in repositioning the bank to become the engine of Nigeria's agricultural transformation. On the foreign scene now, the border between Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda has reopened after being shut since May over the Ebola outbreak, restoring a vital trade route for residents of Goma, whose economy depends heavily on cross-border commerce. Rwanda-backed M23 authorities announced the reopening, while traders and transport workers welcomed the move, saying the closure had severely affected livelihoods. The outbreak has recorded more than 1,400 confirmed cases and over 400 deaths. Although the World Health Organization has advised against border closures, warning they could hinder efforts to contain the disease. In sports now, the African Union has convened an emergency meeting after the United States announced it would end key funding for the AU peacekeeping mission in Somalia from next year, citing the government's slow progress against the sub-Habab insurgency. Moving on to sports news now, analyst Bashir, political divisions had declared that transfer of security responsibilities to national forces, raising fears Al-Shabaab could regain more territory. Large crowds have gathered in Tehran as Iran began funeral ceremonies for former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali, whose body is lying in state ahead of his burial in Mashhad next week. Authorities expect up to 20 million mourners to participate in the event across Iran and Iraq. Moving on now on the news and sports news now, the first batch of Team Nigeria's weightlifting contingents has arrived safely in Aberdeen, Scotland to begin the final phase of preparations for the 2026 Commonwealth Games slated for Glasgow, Scotland. The delegation, led by the Technical Director of Nigerian Weightlifting Federation, NWF, Tefia Onubaye, touched down on Saturday morning and will immediately commence training as they intensify preparations for the Games, scheduled to hold from July 23rd to August 2nd in Scotland. And that's it on News Cycle. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365, Star Times channel 276, and Free TV. And kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using @GlobalTVNG. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. Good evening.